Yes, Captain.
Okay, before we begin, okay, I sent a link, a Google Drive link on your WhatsApp. Okay, so that link is for you to download the SPSS. Okay, SPSS program. Okay, that can be that you need to use to key in and also analyze your questionnaire data. If you got the program already installed, then no need to reinstall that lah. Okay, if you are in UM, actually you can get an original copy of the program from the IT department. Okay, but because I assume that most of you are in at home, so it will be quite difficult for you to get access to the program. So basically, this is not the original copy. This is like a cracked or pirated copy. Okay, so it's only to be used for our session. So basically, I provided the instruction how to install, okay, step by step. Okay, when you click on the file, okay, this file, and also the license file that is required for you to actually use the program. Okay, so there is this license file on this one, ls serve. So in this license file is included in the folder, this one. Okay, so you need to copy this license file into the folder where you install the program. So basically just follow the instruction as per the guideline, okay, the step by step which I showed you here. So many of my students, okay, from previous semesters are able to, I mean, they were able to install the program without any problem. So I assume it will be the same, because basically it's the same file, the same instruction. Okay, so get the program installed, and we will hopefully we can use, and I can show how to apply, how to use basic functions of the program, especially how to key in the data from the questionnaires that you will use for your survey, I mean for your study later on. Okay, so install the program, use the Google Drive link in your WhatsApp group. So okay, it doesn't take long, I think, to download the file. If you're using a fast connection, it will take just a few minutes for you to download and install the file. Okay. So okay, so last Monday, okay, I already introduced to you how to to write chapter number 2. Okay, using the thesis number 2 as the example. Okay, whereby the first part of the first section in your chapter 2 will require description of the theory that you you need to choose, or you need to write, that is applicable or relevant to the topic of your choice. Okay, and I think at this stage of your writing or your study, okay, I would just expect you to use whatever theory from the thesis or the journal that you are using as the reference, okay, main reference or main guideline, okay, for you to construct your project. Okay, so the only part that I need to see update will be the second part in the literature review, which is the review of past studies. Okay, meaning that I need to see at least around 30% of your references should come from recent or latest articles, okay, latest journals from 2021, the year 2020, 2019, or okay, meaning that the last 5 years, 2017 onwards. Okay, so I've shown you how to also last Monday how to use Google Scholar, okay, to actually extract the information from the Google Scholar and put it into Zotero, okay, your reference manager. Of course, you can use other software, but I mean, just for our class this semester, okay, it's easy if everyone can use the same program, and then you can share your folder, I mean, whatever lah, okay. So that is what we learned last Monday. Okay, how to use how to uh, basically how to use this function here. Okay, and then you can copy directly, put it into your reference list. Okay, the article that you want to use, that you refer. Okay, because one thing that you need to remember, you do not simply take reference if you don't refer the article in your thesis. Meaning that if you copy this reference, meaning that Hanapi and Norden 2014 must appear somewhere in your write-up, whether in your introduction or in your chapter number 2 or anywhere in your thesis. Okay, so as long as you refer to the article as part of your write-up in your writing, you need to have the reference section. This article or this journal should appear in your reference section, okay, in the last page, the last few pages of your thesis. Okay, so Google provide this automatic reference format using APA. Okay, but you can also use you can also download the file where you can import directly into Zotero. So that is better because you can save the references into your Zotero program. Okay, you can use this EndNote file format. Okay, EndNote, and then when you click here, it will download the file, and then you can import into Zotero. Or, as I mentioned, the best way actually is not to use the one provided by Google, okay? But you need to use the one directly from the journal itself. Okay, every journal, I think most of the journals, okay, I think 99% of the journal should have the site button here. Meaning that when you click on the site, option, it will give you the link for the file for you to download, for you to import into your reference manager, which is Zotero. Okay, so you can use the format that we use is either the RIS format or the EndNote format. Okay, so if you take article from Science Direct, for example, you click on the site option here. Okay, and then you choose the RIS format. Okay, you click and then your computer will download the file, which you can then import using Zotero. Whether you can double click on the file and then it will open your Zotero program, okay, and import it directly into the new folder, where then you can just drag and drop into the folder of your project this semester. Okay, so I've shown you how to do this. Okay, or you can just go to File, Import. Okay, import from the download folder where the file that you downloaded just now. So there are more than one way, okay, for you to actually import the citation from the original source. Okay, not using the one created by Google Scholar. Okay, so this is the best one because it follows the original resources or the original source of the article. So any journal that you extract, that you get the article from, okay, usually it should have the link. Okay, unless, for example, like this one, when you click on the paper, it goes straight to the journal. Okay, then maybe you need to use the one created by Google. Okay, but in most cases, when you click on the article, it will bring you to the main journal website article. Okay, for example, like this. Okay, and then you go and find the site, the citation icon for you to download the file and import into your Zotero. So you need to browse because different journal has different format. Okay, for example, like this one. Okay, citing, it should be, I think this either share or tools. Yeah, this one. Okay, for example, like this one, if you click on tools, then you can see here export citation. Okay, so different journal might have different ways for you to export the citation file, whether the RIS format or the EndNote format. Okay, but that's why you need to explore different, but most journals, it will be quite similar. Okay, when you click here, and then you can just download citation, you can click on either EndNote or RIS. Okay, both will be the same. okay, whether RIS or EndNote, okay, and then you click download. Okay, the same thing, it will just give you this file where you can just import into Zotero. Okay, if you download RIS also, it will be the same thing as well. Okay, you can open Zotero and import this file. So both are the same, RIS or EndNote is Zotero should be able to open and import the file. Okay, so different journals might have different style of showing the icon or the button for you to import the citation. Okay, but usually it will be something like export citation or cite. Okay, so for example, like this one, so for this article, yeah, it's not, for some reason, it is not available. Okay, so if it's not available, then you just use the one created by Google Scholar, this one lah. Okay, use this one and copy, or you can just click on EndNote and then download the file into your reference manager. Okay, into Zotero. So different journals, different format. That is your part to explore how to actually obtain the. So for Science Direct, I think it's quite simple. You can just click on Cite and then choose RIS and then you download. Okay, for other journals, you need to find where is the link for the export citation. Okay, so the worst case scenario, you can create this thing manually from Zotero. Okay, you can, for example, you can go to File, New Item. Okay, New Item, and then you choose Journal Article. If the article is from journal, then you click Journal Article, and then you need to put in all the relevant information. What's the title? But this is quite, quite a long process lah. So usually, either you use the one created by Google, okay, download from the EndNote here, or the best one, as I mentioned, open the original article first, okay, and then find the link for the citation. For example, like for Taylor and Francis, this is the link here for citation. Okay, you click on citation, and then it will bring you the this one, download citation. Okay, download citation. Okay, and then it will bring you this one also, RIS. So you just click on this one and then click download. Okay. So this is part of the skill, okay, part of the knowledge that you need to acquire. So I will see how you actually, so at the end of your project, when I look at your reference section, okay, in your thesis, okay, then I will know whether you have actually, follow or understand, okay, what is the correct way actually to put your references in the right format, okay, because we are going to use the APA citation style, okay, the APA style. So, and as I mentioned last Monday, okay, if you want only the first letter to have capital, the rest small letter word, then be consistent throughout. Okay, do not mix, meaning that, for example, this one, the title only the word how is in capital letter H, the rest all in small letters. But for the next one, for example, this one, M is in capital letter, R in capital letter, so it is not consistent. So you need to choose which one that you want to follow. If you want all the rest to be in small letters, then the rest of your article should follow the same style. Okay, so do not mix, because some style, some article, some journal, some thesis, if you look at the thesis, so these are the inconsistencies, okay, the mistakes done by the student. Okay, so I'm looking for that consistency when you prepare your references style. So choose only one. If you want only the first letter to be in capital, the rest in small for the title of the article, then use this format. If you want the beginning of each word to have capital letter, M capital, R capital, then the rest of your references should also follow the same format. Okay, so you cannot have one like this and the other one like this. So this is not the way I would like to see. So you cannot have this style, only the letter H in capital, the rest in small letters. Okay, but the following reference, Okay, M is in capital, R in capital, and also the rest lah, E in capital, which is not the same as what you did previously. So if you want to use this format, then do not use this style. Meaning, if you want to be consistent, only M will be in capital. Mortgage, the word M in capital. Financing should be all in small letters. Okay, so if you go through any journal articles, the good journal article, for example, if you look at this article here, okay, so let's say we open this one, okay, from Science Direct, okay. So if you look at the references style, okay, so let's see, we go look at other, okay. Never mind. I think we are spending too much time on this. Okay, so that is one part that I want to highlight before we continue our lecture today. So be consistent in your choice of the format that you want to follow. Okay, so that is one thing. Okay, and then what we learned also last Monday is in your literature review. Okay, you need to have the two components. Of course, one is the theory, the other one is the review of past studies. And I mentioned also in the beginning of our lecture today, you need to have at least 30% of your references should come from latest articles, okay, from 2021, 2020, and until 2017. At least the last 5 years. The last 5 years, I mean, the most recent article published in the last 5 years should be among your references lah, okay, in your project. Okay, so that is another thing what you need to include in your chapter 2. Okay, thirdly, as I shown also last Monday, okay, so last Monday, I think I only show you how to extract information from the Google Scholar, okay. So provided that the link is provided, okay, meaning that if the link is provided on the right side, that indicates that you can directly download the article from Google Scholar, okay. So, but how about if there is no link available, for example, like this one, okay, meaning that this article is not directly downloadable, meaning the article is only available for subscribers of the journal, meaning that if the university does not subscribe to the journal, then you cannot open the article. The same one is this one. Okay, for this article, if you click on, I mean, if you look at this article, there is no link provided on the right side, meaning that if you want to download this article, you cannot download directly from the journal itself. So one way to overcome this problem, okay, if you find that this article is important, it is relevant to your thesis, okay, to your project. So another way for you to download is by using Sci-Hub. Okay, have I shown you how to use Sci-Hub last Monday? Because I think I showed this for the group group B, and the one in the morning. But have I shown you how to download using this website? Because I don't want to repeat this process again. Dah tunjuk Okay. So yeah, so if I show you, then no need for me to repeat lah. Okay, how to use Sci-Hub. So maybe one thing that I forgot to mention. Okay, if for some reason the link stops working, meaning that because Sci-Hub is so-called like an illegal website lah, meaning that sometimes the website does inaccessible, meaning that maybe the original journal publishers decide to block the website. Okay, so one way to get the workable or the working link is you just go to YouTube, okay, and then type Sci-Hub not working. The one pop up first. Okay, you open we're not really interested in the video. We just want to look at the description here. So usually the latest one here, this is the one working, the working link lah. If the one that I'm using or the one that you are using doesn't seem to work, so go to YouTube, type Sci-Hub not working, and open the first video. Okay, open the description and find this one lah, the very top of the suggested link, and it should be able to you should be able to to open the article lah, the one of your choice. Okay, so that is one thing that I want to mention, okay, before I forget. Okay, so yeah, so that is the how to get articles from SciHub. Okay, and this morning also one of the student asked me, okay, whenever you refer to an article or to a whether from thesis or a journal article, okay, so for example in this particular thesis, thesis number 12, okay, from the Google Drive, okay, so this thesis was written by this student Hafizah, okay, Hafizah Ahmad Khan, okay, so written by this student. Okay, so let's say, and you want to, so let's say this is the thesis that you want to refer to, for example, or this is one of the articles or one of the material that you want to cite in your own project. Okay, so but as I mentioned, usually we don't really refer to thesis, okay, as part of your references. Okay, normally the main source of references will come from journal articles. If you go through any thesis or any journals, okay, 99% of the time, the one that appear in the references will be, number one will be journal articles, textbook, or conferences, paper from conference, okay, or working papers like this. Okay, working papers is like papers that has not been published in journal yet. Meaning that the paper is still in its not 100% completed. Okay, that's what it's called, working papers. Okay, so these are the main source of references that you need to use in your project. Okay, not meaning that we give priority to journal articles, working papers or conference papers, okay, and also textbook articles, okay. And secondly, then you can go for website, newspaper article, but newspaper, as I mentioned, you try to limit the use of newspaper article only in your chapter 1, in your background of the study, not in the main analysis, okay, because main analysis in your literature review, those must come from journal articles. Okay, so let's say if you are referring to this particular thesis, okay, let's say this is, okay, so let's say if I'm using this article, okay, by this person Ben Mat, okay, Ben Mat. So this person wrote a paper, okay, and I want to actually cite this paper. So let's say I find that this paper is very relevant to my own project. Okay, so as I mentioned before, one of the easiest way for you to get a quick idea what the thesis is, what the article is about, is by reading the abstract. Okay, the abstract should give you the main findings, the main contribution of the paper, and you can also go straight to the conclusion of the paper. Also, you can find that whatever that the author concluded in the paper should be more or less consistent with the one that you found in the abstract. Okay, but what I want to highlight is that the paper by Ben Mat, okay, this is the finding that Ben Mat found in his own research about this oil price and the US dollar relationship. Okay, so he found that blah 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 lah. Okay, but inside this article, he also has a section of literature review. For example, here, okay, in section number 2, this is a literature review that he made, that he wrote, that explained the relationship between oil price and also the US dollar. Because the title of the paper is about oil price and the US dollar. So he also provided a section of literature review that explains what other people has written with regard to the topic of oil price and also the US dollar. So the question that was given to me this morning, okay, how do you use or how do you cite, for example, okay, you find that, okay, so this article was written by Ben Mat. Okay, if you want to cite BENMAT, you mention that, for example, according to BENMAT 2012, okay, 2012, the article was published in 2012. Okay, according to BENMAT 2012, he found that, for example, okay, let's say I just take these last lines here. Okay, BENMAT found that causality runs only from oil price to exchange rate. Okay, so for example, this is the main conclusion that I want to extract from this particular article. Okay, so according to BENMAT, in bracket 2012, he found that the causality runs from oil price to exchange rate. Okay, so let's say this is what I want to write in my own project. Okay, citing the work from BENMAT 2012. Okay, but let's say when you read the paper or when you read a thesis, you also find that from the literature review section, there are many good articles. There are many other authors that you want to also include in your own project. Meaning that, for example, paper by Benassi Kwe et al. 2007. Okay, the paper done by Sadowski 2000. Okay, so let's say you are interested to include Sadowski 2000 in your thesis as well, because when you read this particular paragraph, okay, you find that this paragraph which was written by BENMAT, okay, he summarized Sadowski 2000 in this style, okay, and you find that the paper written by Sadowski is also relevant to your own project, okay, and then you want to also include Sadowski 2000 in your own literature review. How do you do that? Okay, so just because this paragraph was written by BENMAT, okay, but that does not mean that this part is belong to BENMAT. It's just that this part was taken from Sadowski, but was rewritten. It was paraphrased, okay, written in a different style, okay, but as long as the content refers to Sadowski, so if you want to cite Sadowski 2000 in your own paper, you just mention according to Sadowski 2000, he found that, for example, heating oil, blah, 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 okay, result and exchange rate. So whatever lah. So meaning that you can also, if you want to cite Sadowski, so just mention Sadowski. Does not, even though this paragraph was written by BENMAT, but if you want to cite BENMAT, you need to cite him from his own project, from his own work, meaning that you take whatever that he found from his own study. Okay, but the one that you found in the literature review, this nothing to do with BENMAT. This is just his own, the way he want to summarize the work of Sadowski, the work of Chang et al., the work of Chang and Wei 2000. So this is his own style of writing, taken from the original article by Sadowski and the rest of the papers. But one thing that you need to remember, if you want to cite Sadowski, okay, for example, according to Sadowski, you cannot simply just copy and paste this paragraph and put in your own thesis, because first and foremost is plagiarism lah, meaning that if you check in the Turnitin, if you copy and paste directly, or if you just change a few words here and there, most probably Turnitin will detect as a plagiarism, meaning the similarity index will be high lah. Okay, so actually the best way for, if you want to cite Sadowski, do not use the sentences directly from this particular article by BENMAT. Okay, the proper way to do is go to the original article by Sadowski. Okay, you can, meaning that go to the references, okay, find the full reference by Sadowski. For example, in this article, Sadowski is shown here. Okay, this is by Sadowski, 2000, the year 2000. Okay, so this is the one so this is the main reference by Sadowski. Okay, so what you need to do is, okay, copy this entire line from the journal. Okay, and then just copy and paste and put into Google Scholar. Okay, and just simply copy and paste, meaning that you want to find the original article. Okay, so 99% of the time when you copy and paste, Google Scholar should be able to find the original article lah. So it's just as simple as copy and paste the whole from Sadowski 2000 until the last letter and paste into Google Scholar, and you should be able to find the original article. Okay, so the next step is, of course, open the article and read the article first. At least try to read the abstract, okay, and also the conclusion, and try to compare what the original article is about, okay, and then compare with the one that you found from this from Benmat writing. Meaning that if you want to use this this particular sentence, okay, if you want to use this particular sentence and you want to put in your own thesis, because most of the time, okay, in a journal article, this is the main findings by Sadowski. Okay, but the problem is that this sentence has already been rewritten many times, meaning that this is not the original. I mean, the point might be the same, meaning that the main ingredients are still the same, but the structure of the sentence, okay, most probably will be different than the original one lah. Okay, so if you want the best way actually is to get the original article, okay, download the original article, read the abstract and also the conclusion, and compare with the one that you read from Benmat, this part, and try to paraphrase. Okay, as long as you maintain the main findings of the paper, okay, maybe you can take some from this article and you can take some from the original article and try to rewrite. Okay, so as long as when you check into Turnitin, it does not detect plagiarism. So that is the main goal. Okay, because at the end of the day, when you write your literature review, is you want to summarize what is the main findings of the paper. But most of the time, when you refer to the main article or when you take from other people's writing, you have the tendency to just copy and paste. And when you run Turnitin will detect as plagiarism. Okay, so to avoid problems in the future, okay, try to rewrite as much as possible when you are writing your own project, so that when you run Turnitin, okay, it does not detect as plagiarism lah. Okay, so the best way is to get the original article, okay, go to the reference, okay, copy and paste into Google Scholar, okay, and then download the article. If the article is available directly for download, then just download. If not, then by all means, just use the DOI here, okay, and then open using Sci-Hub. Okay, as long as the article is not very recent, meaning that not the last 1 year or the last 6 months, okay, Sci-Hub should be able to open the original article. Okay, so this is the best way for you to actually obtain the article from the internet and summarize them in your own sentence and then put in your own project, okay, in your literature review. Okay, so that is, I think, what one question that was asked to me this morning. So I just want to share so that if you maybe plan to ask something the same, or you did not think of this right now, so I'm just telling you in advance lah. Okay, so anything that you find from the thesis, for example, this particular thesis by Hafizah, so the main findings of Hafizah you can find from the abstract and also in the conclusion. So that is what Hafizah did. But in the chapter 2 of this particular thesis, she also summarized the work by, for example, Bauchi and Weller. So this is what was written. This is what was written by this particular person. Okay, and the rest is the same lah. By Abid, Potani, and blah blah. Okay, in 2014 using GMM. So this particular paragraph belongs to the work of Abid et al. Okay, but whatever sentence that you see here, okay, the best way for you to extract this information is to download the original article, okay, and then compare with this one and see how you can paraphrase. Okay, paraphrase as long as you maintain the same context. The main ingredient, the main conclusion remains the same, but you need to rewrite as much as possible so that when you check turning in, it is not similar too much, okay, that will cause the similarity index to go up. Okay, so that is the main goal. Okay, so when you, whatever thesis or whatever journal that you are referring to, okay, when you open the literature review, this will give you more articles that are relevant to your own project. So from one article by Benmat, okay, let's say you find this article interesting, but then when you read article by Benmat, it will lead you to more articles that are also relevant to your own project. Not only by Benmat, but also by other people. As long as you think that the findings of the paper is relevant to your project, then just extract the information and put in your own thesis. Okay, it's just that when you read a journal article, you can see that the conclusion can be a bit very concise or very short, because journal writing is a very straightforward and very limited in terms of the number of words. So, for example, by Lizardo and Molik 2010, okay, the work by Lizardo and Molik is summarized only in just three or four lines. So this is quite short. So meaning that if you want to have a bit more explanation, you want to write a bit more by Lizardo and Molik, okay, so the only way to do it is to open the original article by Lizardo and Molik, read the abstract and conclusion, and try to add more information in your own thesis lah. Because if you take directly from this paragraph, you try to paraphrase, okay, meaning that it will just be just around 2 or 3 lines in sentences, okay. But if you want to at least have, maybe you want to add 1 or 2 more sentences that are referring to Lizardo and Molik, okay, you need to download the original article, okay, from the, so just go to the references, okay, and then find Lizardo and Molik, copy and paste, and then put into Google Scholar, as what I showed just now, okay, and then just download the article directly. So this is what I also do in my own work, okay. Whatever article that I think is relevant, go to the reference, copy and paste, open the article and download it, okay. If you cannot find, if the article is not available directly, just use Sci-Hub, get the DOI, copy and paste, and then so the process repeats itself, okay. So once you have done this several times, it's a very simple process to do, okay. And then download the original article, read the abstract, okay, go to the conclusion, okay, try to understand both of these simple paragraphs, okay. If you find that the conclusion is relevant to your own project, then by all means include that article in your own thesis, especially the more recent one, 2021, 2020, okay, 2019, okay. So just to make sure that you are updating your references, okay. So that is another thing lah, okay, that I want to highlight, what you need to have in your literature review, okay, by using Zotero, one thing, and also using Sci-Hub, okay, as the main, as one of the instrument, okay, or way for you to download article that can be used for your literature review, okay. So I think that is what I want to share actually today, okay. And the rest of the time before we end our lecture around 12:50, okay, I want anyone from the rest of you guys, okay, to share your screen, ask any question. That I'm sure there are plenty of questions with regard to chapter 2. Okay, if you have done your, if you have been, I mean, if you have started writing or planning to write what you want to do for your chapter 2, okay, how you want to write the references, okay, how you want to use Zotero or any other issue, okay, related to the chapter number 2, okay, please, okay, because I will not be saying anything now until the class ends, okay, unless you ask me a question and you want to share your screen, then I will just respond to the question. Okay, one more thing before I forget, okay, one of the very common mistakes done by students, whether master student, even PhD students, you know, So PhD students, we have many quality, many grade of, they are good students and they are poor students. And they are also mediocre, meaning average student. Okay, one of the common problems that I normally find in a thesis, okay, for example, the article written by Zakaria et al. 2012. Okay, I'm just taking this at random, okay. So let's say I find that the student summarized this article, okay, according to Zakaria, this is what she concluded, okay, this is what she summarized from Zakaria et al. Okay, and for some reason, I think I want to know more. I want to read more the article by Zakaria. So it's very important that whatever that you, whichever article that you cite in your writing, it must definitely appear in your references. Correct. So this is the number one rule. Okay, whatever article that you cite, it must appear in your references. And just go to the alphabetical order. Z, right? Zakaria. So, yeah, so Zakaria should appear here. Okay, the common mistake that I find is that Zakaria et al. Appear in the writing, but when I go to the reference, this is missing, meaning that I cannot find the work by Zakaria in the references. Okay, so that is one major problem, one major mistake that a student can do in a thesis. Okay, why is a major problem? Because if the thesis that if you say that that article, I mean that particular paragraph refers to Zakaria, okay, so and then you mention that Zakaria finds that blah 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 lah. Okay, let me. Yeah, okay. So what I mentioned just now is that this particular paragraph, okay, this particular paragraph is referring to the work done by Zakaria. Okay, but if I go to the reference and I cannot find the reference for Zakaria, meaning that this particular paragraph can be, I mean, I cannot verify whether what you mentioned about Zakaria, is it correct or not, or is it what actually Zakaria mentioned in his own original paper. Okay, because if you say that this paragraph is referring to the work by Zakaria, then Zakaria name must appear in your reference. If not, this entire paragraph means nothing. Okay, because it's just like you are creating a name which I cannot verify. You are writing a paragraph, but I cannot verify whether that information is it true or not. So that is another purpose of having reference. Okay, so that I can verify whether if I want to double check, is it true that Zakaria says this? Okay, so for the only way for me to do that is to go to the original article and read quickly the main article and see whether what you summarize the work of Zakaria, is it the same as the original article? Okay, so this is some, I mean, of course, I don't really check one article, every single article that you cite. Sometimes I just may want to check some article at random. Okay, let's say you got 50 references. Maybe I just check a few, 3, 4, 5 articles at random and see whether what you summarize in your literature review, is it the same context as the original article? So that is very important. Okay, because you cannot simply summarize something that the person does not say. So let's say if I say that today I mean, so let's say I mentioned some I make a statement. Today there is a lot of dark clouds in the sky, meaning it's almost raining lah. Okay, but I mean it seems like it might rain soon. So my statement is that there are a lot of dark clouds in the sky. But then when you cite my name, according to Mukris 2021, on the 18th of November, it is raining. Okay, it is raining on the 18th of November. But my context is I only mentioned that there are plenty of dark clouds. But that does not mean that it is raining. maybe it can rain, maybe it's not lah. But when you summarize my work, you mentioned that according to Mukris 2021, on the 18th, it's raining heavily, or it's raining on the 18th of November. Okay, so this is another problem lah, because sometimes when you summarize, when you try to paraphrase, you try to modify a bit of the context, okay, especially when you find that the article you want to actually the article is relevant to your project, okay, and then you try to manipulate the context of the paper, so or you misunderstood the context and you rewrite or you paraphrase the sentence until it becomes wrong, meaning that what the author originally says is not the same as what you actually written in your literature review. So if I say that there is a lot of dark clouds in the sky today, okay, that is not the same as it is raining. Okay, it may rain, but it is not raining lah. But if you paraphrase my sentence and you say that it is raining on the 18th of November, because I claim that there is a lot of dark clouds in the sky, so that is a wrong conclusion lah made by you. Okay, I only say that there is a lot of dark clouds, but I don't claim that it is raining. Okay, so for me to verify that statement, so I need to go to the original source. So please make sure that whatever article that you cite in your thesis, whether in the introduction, in the literature review, in your chapter 3, in your chapter 4, okay, anywhere in your thesis, double check, triple check, okay, especially before you submit your final work, okay, it will appear in your references, and also it appear in the right format. Okay, if you follow the APA, follow the APA style, and it must be consistent for all articles that you cite lah. And also make sure that the year that you refer to in the article is the same as the year as it appear in your reference. Okay, Clark et al. In your reference appear as 2003, meaning that in your own writing, when you cite according to Clark et al., in bracket must be 2003 as well. Okay, it might seem a very small matter, but I've seen many times the year in the text is not the same as the year in the reference. That is also another major problem, because the year is also a very important reference point. Okay, because as I mentioned before, some authors may publish similar article or many articles in the same year, or the year must also be correct as well. Okay, so make sure that the year that you mention in the reference must match with the year that you put in the writing. Okay, so that is another main items or criteria that I will look for. Okay, when I evaluate your project at the end of the semester. Okay, I think enough said. Okay, so I'll let you guys share your screen or ask any questions relevant to chapter 1 or especially chapter number 2, whether it got to do with Zotero or Google Scholar. Okay, any questions?
Doctor?
Yes.
Some article each published and got edit some in some years. And we cite the article we want to take the published year or edited year.
Can you speak a bit louder? Tak apa dengar.
My question is, some article will publish in some years, then he will edit in after few years. Then we want to cite this article, we want to use the published year or edited year.
I mean, as it appear in the citation lah. Meaning that when you go open the article, what year does it appear in the export citation to, as per whether in Google Scholar or the one that you download directly from the journal lah? You mean between accepted and published, is it?
Published and some edited.
Okay, can you just share your screen and show me what article are you referring to?
I did not save on. Last time I searched, then I found this like this.
Sorry?
I haven't saved the.
No, I mean Yeah. Do you have any article that you are confused which year or which part that you want to? I mean, how do you want to cite from that particular article? The easiest way, just use Google Scholar. When you copy and paste the title in Google Scholar and see what what year does Google Scholar choose for you? I mean, the published year. Okay. So, but of course, as I mentioned, the best way actually is to download the original, go to the original journal website and import the citation into Zotero.
Okay, paham. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay. Any other questions? Come on. I think there's too much for me talking already the past few weeks. Very little from you guys.
Doctor,
Yes.
from the theoretical background, we need to summarize our independent and the independence issue in our literature review, right?
Macam mana?
Theoretical breakout there, we need to explain more our issue in our literature review. Sites from journal.
Yeah, I mean, whether from textbook, I mean, theory can come from any source. Usually, I mean, it can come from journal as well, or it can come from textbook. If it takes from textbook, then just mention, the reference should be referring to the textbook lah.
Or not
Okay.
necessarily not necessarily at the article we some issue or thesis
No, I mean because general, I mean the theory can come from, for example, a theory by demand. I mean, let's say if you're talking about the topic about the relationship between GDP and inflation, for example. So sometimes the theory was created or was discussed maybe in the 1940s, 1960s, 1980s. So the original theory might be mentioned 30, 40 years ago. So you need to find. I mean, so that's why when you read journal or when you read thesis, especially journal articles that has a theory, a section on theory, what theory is relevant to that particular topic. So you need to refer to the original person who created the theory lah. Okay. So then I mean, it depends on topic. For example, theory about GDP, about I mean, depending on the topic itself. For example, if you're talking about the intention to purchase, intention to do this, these are, I think that the theory that people use is the behavioral theory something. So that will be the theory. So usually it can be referred to one person or three. I mean, whether the original person who created the theory. Okay, so I cannot say which theory that is relevant to you, because there are many topics that our class use this particular semester. So if you look at the thesis that we have used as example, okay, for example, even this one, the topic number 12 here. So if you look at the discussion of the theory, okay, in chapter number 12 here, sorry, in chapter 2, okay, for this particular thesis. So what are the theory about household debt and this one, okay? The highlighted by Land and Livingstone, okay, discuss about the saving behavior, okay, life cycle hypothesis model. So this is the theory that I mentioned. So sometimes you can use 2 or 3 theories to combine to explain the issue that you are doing. Okay, the permanent income hypothesis, okay, according to the life cycle model. So who created this model? So developed by Modigliani and Bloomberg 1954. So when you mention a theory, so of course you need to mention who actually created or the original source of the theory lah, which is by Modigliani and Bloomberg, okay? Or permanent income hypothesis by Friedman 1957. So these theories are used as a guideline, as a benchmark to describe the relationship of the model that you use in the project. So, whatever journal or thesis that you are referring to as your main reference should be using the same theory as well. So, the way for you to write the theory, that is from your own reading lah. You need to know what is the theory about, how much you want to discuss about the theory. As long as you describe sufficient enough to provide enough discussion about the theory, about how the theory actually is relevant to your own topic lah. Okay, so for example, this one, the student mentioned about the theory by the permanent income hypothesis, the life cycle model, and then the theory about this permanent income hypothesis by Friedman. Okay, and then once she discussed about this particular theory, and then proceed with the empirical review by past studies about the particular topic. As long as you have discussion about the theory, and the theory should have enough discussion. I mean, you provide enough writing that is relevant to the particular topic that you are doing lah. So, for example, like this thesis is about the cost of living and household hutang isi rumah. So the theory that is relevant is the combination of life cycle, and also permanent income hypothesis. So this is what I mentioned lah. The first part should have a discussion on the theory that is relevant to your topic. Okay, so of course, at your level, you may not be able to. You don't need to think of what theory that you want to use, but rather just follow whatever theory that is very common that you find in the journal that is relevant to your own project lah. So if you're doing something on career choice among undergraduate, so find as many articles as possible on journal articles about career choice among undergraduate, and see what theory that the authors, most of the authors are using, okay, when it comes to the topic about career choice among undergraduate, for example. Okay, maybe it's something to do with labor market theory. Okay, so I cannot say for sure what is the exact theory. Okay, but this must come from your own reading lah. You read as many articles as possible and see what are the normal or the common theories that students or lecturers or whomever authors the paper use in their own project. Okay, so that is on the theoretical review lah. Okay, so for me the simple answer, download and read as many article relevant to your project, and then you will find the similarity in terms of what are the common theories that people use in that area of research. Okay, if you are doing something on cost of living, okay, so you read as many journal articles on the cost of living, and you will find that many of the articles will be using similar theories, okay, to describe the relationship among the variables, okay, to describe the topic that they are doing about the cost of living. So just use that theory as well in your own thesis. Okay, so that is my advice lah. Okay, if you only read one or two articles, of course you will not be able to know what are the common theories that people use. Okay, so you need to read 20, 15, 20, 30 articles, not read meaning that you need to read in detail. Okay, just download as many articles as possible relevant to your project, and then just go through the theoretical section, the literature review section, and see what are the similarities among these articles when it comes to the theory that they use in their paper. And then you just use the same one in your thesis. Okay, so that is my tip lah, my advice. Okay, so for chapter 2, the draft, let me see, maybe before the end of before we go for the mid-semester break. So your mid-semester break will be on the 2nd of December, right? Meaning 2 weeks from now. So maybe I will require you to submit your chapter 2 draft, before the end of the before you go for the semester break. So at least when we open the second part of the semester, okay, you can concentrate on chapter 3 and chapter 4. Chapter 3 not really that much, okay, because it just maybe few pages long only. Okay, they're not much actually for you to write for chapter 3, but most of the writing will come in chapter number 4, the findings of your project. Okay, so maybe you want to spend more time during the mid-semester break to complete your data collection, meaning submit your questionnaire to your friends, okay, and then learn how to use the SPSS, and then start key in your data, and then do the simple analysis, okay, and then by the time you start the second part of the semester, then you can start focusing on how to interpret your findings, okay, because we need to have the presentation, okay, as I mentioned, maybe by week number 11 or 12, okay, because we got around 9 groups, okay, in total, so we need to have enough time for all group members to present their work lah. Okay, so that will be I think the timeline. So I think if, meaning that now you need to start focusing on the write-up for your chapter 2 lah, meaning the draft for your chapter 2. Okay, of course, I will require more pages lah compared to chapter 1. Because chapter 2 has, you need to write more in terms of, I want to see what are the theory that you are using. And for the draft, I would expect, you know, the references that you are going to include in your chapter 2 draft will come from latest articles, meaning the last 5 years, since 2016, 17 onwards, that will chapter 2, your chapter 2 will use many references from the recent one. Okay, so the older articles you can include later in your final submission, but for your draft, I want to see the latest one, the latest articles, okay, being used in your write-up. So I will put the instruction maybe by early next week. Okay, how many pages? Okay, but you can start writing from now lah. Okay, for chapter 2, how many pages? Okay, I think at least it should be around, you know, 8 or 7, 8, 9 pages long lah. Okay, research review actually is not that difficult, because if you got 20 articles, okay, to basically you just focus on the abstract, on the conclusion, okay, and try to organize according to the topic, according to the if you know, according to the, you need to have a proper subsection, how you want to divide your literature review according to the subsections, meaning according to the variables, according to the scope. So this is where you need to refer to journal articles or thesis. Okay, refer to thesis, as many theses as possible from the Google Drive. See how other students break down or, you know, organize their literature review. So you can get some idea from other students and follow the best style as possible lah. Okay, how you want to divide. I think I shown the thesis number 2. Okay, number 2 thesis from the Google Drive as one of the good example, the good format that you can follow. Okay, for your own project. Okay, any other questions before we end our lecture for today?
Sir, I have a question regarding the writing style. To type correctly, we don't need to have a space, because from your
Which one? You mean what, for background? Line tak clear, Amirul. Kena cakap apa tu, you need to repeat or you need to speak a bit louder.
Yeah. There is no
line tak clear, Amirul. Okay, orang lain, ada person? I mean, maybe Amirul can sort his connection problem first, because it's breaking on my side. I cannot hear your voice clearly.
Doctor?
Yes.
For the chapter 2 section, the chapter Rico, those the chapter 2 section lah.
Boleh cakap ni apa, speak a bit louder. I cannot, it's not really clear on my side. Kena, maybe you need to be a bit closer to your microphone ke, to your laptop ke apa.
Doctor, for the literature review section, the page limit is around how many?
I mean, how many articles is it that you want to refer to?
Like a tutorial background, like maximum 20 page or?
I mean, okay, at this stage, actually, I don't want to put any maximum pages. I mean, this must come from, okay, if you, I mean, of course, don't refer to PhD lah as your benchmark, because PhD thesis, of course, is much longer than masters. Okay, so maybe your guideline how much you should write, you follow the typical length that you may find in most of the master's thesis. Okay, or that will be a good guideline lah. How many pages, how long should you write your theoretical section? But I think for the theoretical section, maybe it should be around maximum, I don't know, 4 or 5 pages long, because some title or some topic may have longer theories to explain. Some may have around 2 or 3 pages, but I think maximum 5 pages for the theory should be enough. Okay, 5 pages or maybe 6 pages, the most. But for the empirical discussion, meaning summary of articles from past studies, okay, that are relevant to your project. Okay, the second part of your literature review. Okay, so that I will require maybe much longer lah, maybe around, I don't know, because you work in group. So when you work in group, if one student summarize, let's say 5-6 articles, right, or maybe 7 articles, 7 articles, or 5-6 articles per person. You multiply by five people in one group, so that's already 25 articles that you can summarize. Okay, that you can actually include in your project paper lah. So maybe meaning that you are looking around at least 30 references or 30 journal articles that you can refer to. Okay, in your literature review. 30 is not really that many lah. If you look at thesis, master's thesis, okay, any master thesis, I think that usually the number of references can be more than that. Okay, so of course this is undergraduate. I do not want to compare with masters lah, but the masters and undergraduate, there's not much different actually, because in terms of the quality, in terms of the length, especially when you are working in group, where you can divide the burden among your group members. Okay, but maybe for the first draft, for the first draft of chapter 2, okay, because the focus now for me is to look at the more recent articles that you refer to, not the older one that you can find from other journals or the thesis that you are referring to lah. Okay, so maybe as I mentioned, maybe let me think how much I need. But I think for the draft, for the theory, maximum maybe around 5 pages. Okay, for the literature review, maybe maximum around 10 pages. Okay, for the draft first. Okay, for the draft, meaning 10 pages. If one page, you can put around 3 to 4 articles. So for 10 pages, maybe you are looking around almost up to, maybe around 20, 30 articles you can summarize in 10 pages. Okay, because I do not want you to summarize only 2 articles in 1 page, meaning that you are writing too much for 1 article. Okay, usually I think I've shown you some example before. How much you should discuss for 1 article. Okay, how many lines is ideal? Okay, maybe around 5 lines, 6 lines that you need to allocate for 1 article. So in 1 page, maybe you can have around 3 articles that you can summarize. Okay, or maybe even 4 articles. Okay, that you can summarize depending on the discussion lah, on the scope of the article lah. So I cannot say exactly. You don't need to have equal number of lines for every article. Some article maybe you want to spend a bit more. Some article you can spend a bit less discussing. But overall, I think one page of your Microsoft Word, for every page of your thesis, okay, in the literature review, you can have around maybe 2 to at least 3 articles lah that you can combine in one page. Okay, so that will be the ideal number of articles that you can refer in 1 page. Okay, if you want to have 2 articles in 1 page, also possible, but not every single page lah. Okay, two articles per page, meaning half a page you are allocating only for 1 article, meaning that almost half a page you devote to discuss only for 1 article, meaning there's quite a lot of lines or space that you reserve lah, meaning you are writing too much for 1 article. That is not the good way to actually to summarize an article. Okay, so for the time being, just prepare around, have around this, around 10 pages for chapter for the second part, okay, and maximum 5 pages for the theoretical section. Maximum means you can write a bit lower than that, maybe 3 pages for the theory, and for the empirical review. For the second part of your literature review, maybe you can have around 7 pages, 8 pages long. I think that shouldn't be. I think literature review is quite easy to write, okay, because you just basically summarize the abstract or the conclusion. But the main challenge is to paraphrase, okay, to rewrite the sentence so that it does not turn out turning in plagiarism check. So you need to paraphrase or rewrite the abstract, okay? Use your own word, your own style of writing, so that it does not, be part of the plagiarism punya checking lah. So that is my advice lah. Okay. By the way, because okay, I mean, I assume all of the groups have a sample template or sample of questionnaire, what you want to use, okay, for your own project. So maybe part of the submission before you go for the semester break, meaning that apart from the draft for chapter number 2, I may also need for you to submit your questionnaire as well. I mean, the draft, not the final questionnaire, at least, what you have done, what you have prepared so far. Because some of you might want to start doing the data collection during the semester break. Okay, meaning that you want to start collecting, but I need to look at your questionnaire first before you can actually do your data collection. Because, basically, is once I approve your questionnaire and you have sufficient questions and your questionnaire can actually answer the questions that you set up in your chapter 1, then you can proceed with the data collection. Okay, and I think I will let maybe give or take, maybe I need, when you submit your chapter 2 draft, submit together with your questionnaire as well. So if the questionnaire is, for me, there is no much problem with the questionnaire, then you can start, you use that questionnaire for your data collection, meaning that ask your friend to answer and whatnot lah. Okay, but do not proceed with the data collection yet until I've seen and approve your questionnaire. Okay, so that is the okay. So I think if you go to the SAB website, okay, if you go to the SAB website, I think you should be able to find the format for undergraduate thesis, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, you can go to the let me see if there is any what else. Okay, yeah. Yeah, apparently if you go to Google, so just simply type SAB Kertas Ilmiah, okay? So the first one that appear here, you just click here and download the PDF file, okay? So it will bring you to this buku panduan here, okay? So basically this is the general guideline. I think it was prepared many years ago. Okay, so this is, I think, like the normal guideline, but of course this is in Malay lah. Okay, for those who cannot understand Malay, for foreign students, okay, you can use any master's thesis from the library as your guideline as well, because that follows the guideline of UEM as well. Okay, so this is basically this format actually is for the semester 7 project. when you submit your semester 7 project at the end of the semester. So this will be the template that you need to follow when you submit your project. Okay, but I think this also contain, for example, like the what is the speed, I mean, the font size, the margin. Okay, so but for me, I don't want to be too specific at this moment. Okay, just use any thesis from the one that you find from the library, from the Google Drive, because that is also the format that we use in UAM. Okay, so you can see the what is the format, the the spacing. I think spacing will be the 1.5 or 2. I'm not really sure, but I'm not really concerned about the format. I mean, meaning that bukanlah tak concern. I mean, I'm not really that strict in terms of the format. As long as the format is consistent, you don't simply create your own format, but at least have a template that is consistent. So for me, any format that you get from the library, from the thesis, from the Google Drive, you can use that style of writing lah. Okay, meaning that the numbering format, the margin that you see. Okay, but I think the one that you can find directly here is I think easier for you to follow, because I think it does mention what is the margin on the left hand side, on the right hand side. Okay, so that I think is mentioned in the guideline as well. Okay, as well as how to write your references. Okay, so but this is only applicable when you actually submit your own project, okay, at the end of semester 7. Okay, for example, this one, okay, margin 12.5 millimeter to the left, spacing. So I don't really read. I mean, I haven't gone through this format in detail. Okay, but for me, the best way or the easiest way, just look at the thesis from the library, from the Google Drive, and use your own judgment lah. What is how you want to replicate the format for your own thesis. Okay, so I think the number of spaces, I think I would prefer. I mean, you can have 1.5 or 2 to apa tu, to 1.5 or 2 or double spacing lah. Okay, actually I prefer 1.5 because it looks nicer than a double spacing paragraph. Because I don't really want to limit the page. For me, what is concerned is the number of words, not the pages. Because pages can be a bit misleading, because those group who have many tables might have more pages than group that have less table. So I will decide how many words that you need to have in your own final project. Okay, but for the time being, for your draft for chapter 2, okay, just limit around 15 pages long first. Okay, 3 to 5 pages for the theoretical review, and another 10 pages for your draft of your empirical discussion. Okay, so other than that, we can discuss on next Monday. Okay, we can continue with the discussion on the submission of your draft for chapter number 2. Okay, other than that, I think continue